Alright guys, welcome back. Let's what's happening between our borders in county and countries.
A week ago, members of the United Opposition, whilst on a Meet the People tour, a right that is enshrined in our constitution, were met by violence of police bullets and a state-sponsored militia. Specific members of our teams, namely Senator Methu, Honorable Victor Munyaka, and Jamnik Kamau, were targeted for assassination. The evidence is clear in the bullet holes aimed at specific windscreens of their vehicles. We thank God for their protection. Otherwise, we would today be eulogizing them.
In case you are watching this channel for the first time, please click that subscribe buttons, then allow the notification buttons to be on. And for the subscribers, I really thank you and appreciate for your support.
Their only crime having been exercising their freedom of association and expression. We will not tire from reminding the Ruto administration that freedom of movement, expression, and association are among the fundamental rights guaranteed in our Constitution and in the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, as well as on the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. On Tuesday this week, after the Halloween attack, the United Opposition presented irrefutable evidence to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, on this criminal assault and attempted assassination of our leaders. We expect IPOA to treat this evidence with a grave concern that it deserves. Any attempt to unlawfully take the life of a human being, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or rank, ought to be condemned in the strongest terms possible. We therefore expect IPOA to hold the commanding officer who led this assault accountable. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, and Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, must be held accountable. The buck stops with them. We can no longer allow the brazen criminal acts and subversion of the rule of law to continue because of orders from above. We are saying enough is enough. We have heard Ruto saying enough is enough, but we remind him as an employee, you can never tell your employer enough is enough. You can only pack your bags and go. We are his employers. We are telling him enough is enough. This has to stop. He cannot create a Haiti-like militia in Kenya to destroy the peace and tranquility that we have been having. Fellow Kenyans, our country is ailing. Some even say it is at war with itself, not because of the global recession or pandemic, but because of an epidemic called William Samoei Ruto. The instruments of power are in the hands of a person who simply doesn't care for the well-being of the citizens he purports to govern. For instance, we are aware of a cargo of 25,000 metric tons of sugar that recently landed in our port at Mombasa. This sugar is already on its way to Western Kenya, to a Western Kenya sugar factory to be repackaged and sold to Kenyans. Yet, it was condemned as unfit for human consumption in its country of origin. That it has been cleared quickly and is now headed to be distributed in this country shows the heartlessness of this regime. They have made money their God. We demand that these consignments already earmarked as publicly condemned be earmarked as publicly condemned and destroyed immediately, so that it is not used to poison Kenyans. I will let one of our youth read the rest.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Ken Babu, and I proceed. Fellow Kenyans, this is a criminal regime that not only resorts to willful violence against its people, but resorts to physically harming its populace unfit for public consumption of goods, but also attempts to limit its people via willful and defunding education, which is a right. Just a week ago, the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, John Mbadi, publicly declared that Kenya can no longer sustain free primary and secondary education. The proposed cuts to capitation and demand that Kenyan parents pay more for the education is an affront to Constitution, having been entrenched in Article 43(1)(f), which guarantees the rights to education for everyone, while Article 53(1)(b) specifically ensures every child's right for free and compulsory basic education. Hence, defunding education is not only insensitive, but unconstitutional. We implore us to reason to these words of Abraham Lincoln, and I quote, "Do not interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties." We must tell the illegitimate regime of Mr. Ruto that Kenyans want education, health, and other basic needs, and not handouts in the name of empowerment. And therefore, we all agree that having Mr. Ruto as the Kenya's president today is one of the most historical mistakes that ever happened in this country. And therefore, one term is unstoppable. One term.
One time.
Another one?
Yeah. It will be finished by Steve. Honorable.
A lady. Let's have a lady.
No.
So let's have a lady.
It's go. Ndio ya mwisho.
We can have a lady.
Okay.
Under Ruto's torrid regime, our beloved country has in under 3 years, we have been subjected to socio-economic and emotional assault as the people of Kenya, which is illegal, unconstitutional, and criminal in every form. This is not speculation. We repeat, this is a fact. Their first and only qualifying modus operandi is theft, destruction, and death as the Ruto state-governed policy. 2, they are now scrutinizing future taxes, a criminal and yes, unconstitutional move to borrow externally against future taxes without parliamentary sanction or debate. It is not only a seminally crude betrayal of public trust, but also a direct violation of the Public Finance Act. The behind closed doors is a reckless scheme to sell off Kenya's future. To conceal their criminal operations, they have created murky financial vehicles called special purpose vehicles. These are run by faceless technocrats and unaccountable corporations. The primary objectives of this vehicle is to divert public resources away from Parliament, the Auditor General, and the people. This is more than simply daylight robbery. It is shameless thievery, the likes of which no nation on planet Earth has ever seen or should witness. We call for the following with immediate urgency. Number 1, Parliament must reclaim its authority and halt the illegal securitization of public taxes. 2, an independent audit into all SPVs being used to handle public resources. 3, the government must restore full capitation to schools, and publish a clear time-bound commitment to fund free education as enshrined in the law. 4, Kenyans must mobilize, organize, and resist through civic engagement, legal action, and national solidarity.
Yeah, it was resolved that one of us should do the conclusion, but of course we'll be taking the necessary questions. This is very brief. Friends of goodwill, as the united opposition, we will not be silent as our country is auctioned. We will not bow down to intimidation. We will not allow the proliferation of fake news and propaganda to define our time. We will not allow a nation built on liberation to be destroyed by deception. Mr. Ruto, together with your team, you're on borrowed time. Hashtag one term is not just a reality, it is an eventuality. May God bless our Republic, Kenya. Thank you.
One term.
One term.
One term.
You can take the questions.
Yeah, one term. We can take the question. If there's any. But you can actually observe inclusive nature of presentation. We will not leave the youth behind, and we will not leave the women behind. Nobody will be left behind. We do not claim monopoly of presentation going forward. Any question? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Sokolele, what intersection of the members of the opposition being accused of propagating the policy for Tia and Peru, where you are for what can this opposition alliance that part of the principles have been supported that accused of meeting segmented groupings that are being
You know, there's such a thing, my friend, of as freedom of association. As we move forward, I think leaders should feel free to meet and consult any segment of the Kenyan community without being branded divisive. Absolutely no. We are not a divisive thing, and I think our sister was on one such trip in the States. If that's what you're referring to, I think Mother should handle that.
We have already said in our statement, a desperate regime resorts to propaganda and misinformation. There is no place on earth I know where you call a meeting and only certain people come. When it's a public meeting, everybody comes. I went to Angemi Festival, Kikuyu music, but music speaks to everyone. There were people from mixed backgrounds. Everybody was there. So we will not waste our time answering to propaganda. Show us the evidence, we shall react.
Thank you. So if the event was a Ngemi event, why would you want to categorize it? Yes, sir. Daily Nation. Some of us are very clear. We have stood, I can tell you very authoritatively, when I chaired the first ministerial commission to revitalize East African community. And it went on now to build on the mistake we made in 1977 when we killed East African community. Now we are fully back on East African community situation. So some of us stand for borderless East Africa and the rights of establishment. The parliament sitting in Arusha should be able to quickly deliberate on some of these things. So if you look at it that way, does it matter which side of the lake is Megigo Island? Doesn't really matter, because we want to see a borderless East Africa where professionals can have rights of establishment in Kampala, in Dar es Salaam, in Kigali, in Juba, in Nairobi. That is the vision. So this other one is, in my view, permit me to say, a bit narrow-minded.
May I also add and say this? It is very well for Uganda and Kenya to agree on Migingo. Any agreement that cedes part of the territory of Kenya needs to be debated in Kenya. It needs to be passed by our parliament. So Kenya and Uganda does not belong to our two heads, to Dr. Ruto and Yoweri Museveni. It belongs to the people of Kenya and Uganda and to East Africa. They cannot make private deals that go against the territorial boundaries. While we commend the effort to resolve, can they retrace their steps and do it legally? We also want to remind them we have not forgotten. We are still focused on the criminal acts by both states of cross-border abduction. We have not forgotten that Besigye was abducted from Kenya. Luckily, he has now filed a suit in Kenya against the Kenya government. And a suit will be filed also extending to Ugandan government for the criminality. We have not forgotten the cross-border abduction of Mwambili Mwagondi from Tanzania. It looks like the three original states of East Africa are collaborating on oppressing their citizens. We want to hear their voices telling us whether this is going to stop. And we also want to ask East Africans, let us stand together in solidarity to push back these illegalities.
Thank you.
Still on the same issue of diplomacy, what's your take about the Tanzanian move? They are proposing to ban all foreigners, including Kenya, from trading in small business.
I think that's what I was dealing with. When I said the right to establishment, free movement of goods and services. And of course that includes, you cannot think of free movement of goods and services without talk about businessmen and women. So we would want East Africans to enjoy being East Africa. Because after all, we're seeing our national, our East African anthem. Does it make sense that when it comes to doing business in Tanzania or in Uganda or in Kigali or in Bujumbura, then you have to be restricted? No. The longer term vision of integration incorporates a situation where business people are able to move freely across the borders. I hope I've answered. Any other question?
In other words, the actions of Tanzania undermine the East African treaty, and the integration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a last comment. Yesterday we heard the Corporate Secretary General say the ban by Tanzania was a reaction to what happened back in May. Some of Kenyan activists, including you, PSP leader, went there. You might have frustrated the administration there. This ban now comes.
Frustrated the administration.
Is that
They were going in there, I think, as professionals. And Senator Medho has come here. We thank God you are alive, my friend. We are supposed to take you out. It will never happen in God's name.
Yeah.
So, again, I mean, honestly, some of these things, I talked about the right of establishment. It's a serious matter. If you look at the treaty establishing the East African Community, it's very clear when it comes again to freedom of movement of the professionals. So if we have a Kenyan attorney, a Kenyan advocate, or senior counsel like Martha, going to represent a client in Dar es Salaam,
or observe.
In any event, you can also remember that Chief Justice Emeritus was himself allowed to do the same. This is the spirit of East Africanness we are advocating, and we believe in it. We work very hard to achieve that.
May I also let you
By the
know.
way, that's a good thing. The chair of the community, the authority itself, is
happens to
William
be
Ruto.
Why is it happening during this time?
Yeah, but just to mention that I had actually successfully observed Tundu Lissu's case on the 24th of April. But I issued a statement outside the court after observing. I think that was what rubbed them the wrong way. But their constitution, just like Kenyans, and the Treaty of East Africa allows freedom of expression. So the actions of the leadership in Tanzania is illegal by their own constitution and by international law. We have challenged the actions of the Tanzanian government in the Tanzanian court. And I hope soon the court will be issuing an order for them to open the door for me and others to walk in the streets of Tanzania to defend our suit. So, Aluta, continua. Let's not go on it too much, please, sir. Yeah, it will become just a debate on East Africa.
You can do the last one.
Our
And yet our
presser
mind
today,
is on capitation.
capitation
You will not
and
derail
attempted
the right to
assassination.
education.
If it's not a different matter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
last one.
Maybe our friend will tackle that. How many years?
It's 2
My
years.
friend, next week
I
will
can
be
check that.
2 years.
Yes.
It's not for today now. They are going to watch the space.
Thank you. I think we want to say the issue of our coalition and the unity of our coalition, and as to when and how we unveil our joint presidential candidate or lineup is our prerogative. We will do so as and when